So guys, Preston North End have gone ahead and parted ways with head coach Frankie Mcavoy. As a Preston fan myself, I've got quite a bit to say about this, so I thought I'd jump on a quick video here. Obviously, we released the Championship Roundup a couple hours ago, but this one's certainly worth discussing. Guys, welcome back to another video. Just a bit of a quick one for me today, but I thought it was worth jumping on and sharing my thoughts on this one. So let's first of all jump over to the statement that the club has just released. So North End have said this about the situation. Preston North End Football Club can confirm that Frankie Mcavoy has left his position as head coach. Frankie stepped up earlier this year to assist us, initially in an interim role, before taking up the position of head coach. His first 8 games at the end of last season were a huge success, but this season we have struggled for consistency. Ultimately, it is a results business, and results to date have not met our expectations. We have therefore decided to make a change at this time. And if you've been watching the channel for a while and you've been, watching me when I've been talking about Preston and things like that, you'll probably know my opinion on this. It is certainly, for my money, the right decision. I think the majority of the fan base would agree with that. And to be honest, I think the majority of the fan base would have made this decision considerably earlier. But the news did come as a little bit of a surprise to me, to be honest with you, because in the back of my mind, I thought that we were in for this for the majority of the season, really, where we'd sort of just bounce from game to game. We'd get the odd bit of fortune here and there, and that would keep us going from week to week. But I think there's been quite a few underlying problems with North End this season that certainly run deeper than just the general results on a match day, and someone from the outside looking in will say, Preston like 18th in the table or whatever, but it goes a lot deeper than that, I think. For me personally, and I think I share the views of most North End fans when I say this, coming into this season, I certainly don't think that anyone was expecting the top 6 or anything like that, and that's not why this decision has been made. I think we all wanted to feel like we were at the start of a new process. Previously under Alex Neil and Simon Grayson before that, the Alex Neil cycle had very much come towards its natural end last season. I think that Alex himself was in need of a break, but in terms of that squad, it was very much in need of a refresh. We got a little bit of that in January last time, but in the summer as well, the whole squad needed a little bit of revamping. So I think most fans wanted a bit of a fresh feeling around the club, and in appointing Frankie Mcavoy, it sort of just felt like a soft reboot of last season, really, if that makes sense. His results, while they were very good at the end of last season, came at a time when there wasn't really particularly all too much on the line in any of those games. There wasn't really any jeopardy in any of them. There were still no fans in the stadium as well. And coming into this season, it's been a really sort of turgid watch the sort of football that we've been playing so far this season. I think the pressure was on Frankie from minute 1 of the season, to be honest with you. We were absolutely hopeless at the start of the season. Hull put 4 goals past us. We followed that up with a few more really poor performances against the likes of Reading and Huddersfield. And a lot of the times when we have ended up picking points this season, have felt like there's been a large chunk of sort of fortune in those matches, and it didn't feel like a sustainable way to go through a whole season. And I don't think that any North End fan could have realistically seen, Frankie Mcavoy in a long-term project as the head coach, and that's what North End fans want to see. You've then got the results against, Blackpool earlier on in this season, the first league meeting in a decade, and then the game of the weekend against Blackburn was just sort of the icing on the cake, really, to tip us over the edge. If we look at the Championship table at the moment as well, and if we were to discount the point deductions to both Reading and Derby at this point in time, then Preston would only be 4 points off the relegation zone, which for the squad we have, while by no means is it, we got the resources of Fulham or Bournemouth, I think our squad's way better than that. When you have the likes of Daniel Iverson in goal, defenders like Seth Vandenberg and Patrick Bauer, one of probably the most competitive midfielders in the Championship, with the likes of Ben Whiteman and Ali McCann, 2 real coups who we picked up at the time, who a lot of other Championship clubs were in for and have done quite well given the circumstances so far. And you've also got the likes of Alan Brown and Daniel Johnson. You add Ryan Ledson into that equation as well, an up-and-coming midfielder, and then Emile Rees, who, it finally looks like we've got our hands on a consistent goal scorer. you add all those elements together and suddenly you do expect more than what we've seen so far this season. I think the style of play has been a real sticking point with the fans so far this season, and I think that's been one of the contributing factors to people voting with their feet and not coming on Deepdale recently. Attendances have absolutely plummeted this season, both for home and away followings. That was seen by how many we took to Rovers at the weekend. And so ultimately Ridsdale was left in a position where I don't think he could have really done anything else. It was just a case of, him prolonging it for as long as possible. Because like I said, I think that a lot of North End fans would have made this decision a lot sooner. I think my faith in all this probably went after the Blackpool game, to be honest with you. And that's why part of me was a little bit surprised when this news came out, because it wasn't all too long ago that Ridsdale went on the From the Finney podcast. If you've not, gone ahead and listened to that, definitely worth a listen. But that one, he very much sort of doubled down on his support for Frankie Mcavoy, so he's had to sort of fall on his sword in that respect, I suppose, and make the tough decision in this one. I think our stubbornness to adapt has been another real sticking point so far this season, persisting with the five at the back, which has been such a slog to watch so far this season. And that's not to say that's just a system issue, because I think that if coached in the right way, not only can that be effective, but also good to watch. But yeah, so far this season we've not looked particularly well coached in many of our outings, to be honest with you. So yeah, it was news that I was welcoming, but obviously I do wish Frankie all the best for the future and whatever may lie for him. I'd imagine that he'd go back into coaching. I'd be surprised if he was to be picked up as a number one anywhere. I'd imagine he'd go in maybe as a number two, whether that is with Alex Neil again, time will tell. In terms of what I want to see for Preston for the future now, I'm not 100% certain on who I want as the manager. I just know the sort of profile of manager that I'd like to see coming in. I'd like a fairly young and ambitious manager who's going to bring a style of play and an identity and a clear vision, really. That's what I want to see. I want to see those building blocks being put in between now and the end of the season. I remember making the comparison at the start of the season to Preston and Swansea. Both of us were struggling at the start of the season, but with Swansea under Russell Martin, you could very much tell that they were building a philosophy, and it was always going to take time, and there were going to be some teething issues, and there still are, at the moment, but they were working towards something where you could realistically see the end goal. That's really what I want for Preston. Some of the names that are being thrown about at the moment, the likes of Callum Davidson, Gareth Ainsworth always going to get chucked in there because of his links to Preston as well. You then got the likes of Ryan Lowe, Nicky Butt was linked to us previously. I think Roy Keane was in contention last time as well. I've seen Grant McCann mentioned, and a few people, mentioning Michael Carrick as well. Honestly, anyone with an identity that's young and ambitious and is looking to prove themselves, give, some of our youngsters that running the side that they've not really got over the past decade, really, in our squad generally. We've had quite the poor record when bringing up youngsters. That's what I'd like to see for the future with North End, and just instill a bit of pride and a bit of hope back into the whole city, really, because yeah, everything's felt a little bit glum lately. But that is my whole take on the situation. Be very interested to get all your guys' thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Whether you are a North End fan or not, let me know what you've thought of all this and who you think would be best suited to the Preston job in the future. But yeah, just a quick video that I thought I'd jump on today. If you did go on to enjoy, do leave a like and stick around for some regular North End content. See you in the next one, guys.